I never pictured myself as a rancher. Growing up, I spent summers at my grandpa's spread outside Boulder, Colorado, but life pulled me toward a quiet desk job in the county's land management office. I was fine with my routine paperwork, permits, and a steady paycheck until a lawyer's call last spring turned everything upside down. "Nathan, your grandfather left you the Carter Ranch," she said. "All 15 acres, the house, the barn, the works." My grandpa, Henry Carter, had passed down a century-old legacy, a rugged slice of land that had been in our family for 4 generations. It came with a sacred spring, a natural wonder the local tribes once called holy, nestled under an ancient oak. The place was a postcard: rolling pastures, mountain VYUs, a sturdy farmhouse, and a timber barn my great-grandpa built with his own hands. I was floored, but I had no idea the storm waiting for me. When I moved in, I found a ranch surrounded by the gleaming Golden Meadows, an upscale gated community that had sprouted up like weeds. Trouble showed up 3 days later in a fancy envelope. "Welcome to Golden Meadows," it read, claiming my land now fell under their HOA's rule due to some boundary shift. The next day, a sleek SUV with their logo rolled up. Out stepped Victoria Langley, late 30s, designer sunglasses perched like a crown. "Mr. Carter," she said, her smile as cold as a winter creek. "I'm the president of Golden Meadows HOA." She had my grandpa's weathered farmhouse like it was a junkyard. "There's no confusion," I shot back, arms crossed. "This land's never been part of your setup." Her smile tightened. "The county redrew lines 5 years ago. Your grandpa fought it, but we're hoping you'll be more cooperative." The name Langley rang a bell. Grandpa's old journals mentioned Thema family that had tried to buy our land for decades, ever since Victoria's dad lost a water rights fight in the 70s that nearly broke him. That night, I dug through Grandpa's files. Among tax records and deeds, I found a folder labeled Boundary Dispute. It held letters from county officials exempting our land from any development. Another folder detailed years of legal spats with the Langleys, including their attempts to siphon off the sacred spring. My neighbor, Ed Thompson, a 74-year-old retired planter, dropped by with a basket of tomatoes. "Watch your back with that HOA," he warned. "Your grandpa was the only one who stood up to them. They made my wife, Clara, rip out her heirloom roses 30 years old because they weren't approved." The Langleys have been after this land forever, especially that spring. 3 days later, I woke to machinery grinding at my fence line. A landscaping crew was tearing down Grandpa's split-rail fence. "HOA orders," the foreman muttered. "Doesn't meet standards." That afternoon, Victoria returned with Marcus Reed, the HOA's slick development guy. "Mr. Carter," she cooed, "we have a VY shown for this area's state-of-the-art rec center, right by your place. It'll triple your property value." Marcus chimed in, all grins. "But there are compliance issues. Your tractor's VY Cybele, your mailbox is wrong, and that barn's an eyesore." My blood boiled. "That eyesore was built in 1922, I snapped. "It's been here longer than your McMansions." They left a binder of rules on my porch. Later, my grandpa's buddy from the records office, Tom Riley, called. "Someone's pulling your property's historical docs," he said, "and the online boundary maps don't match our paper ones. Smells like tampering." The violation notices came daily, yellow slips griping about my grass, my tractor, anything they could pin on me. Fine started at $50 but climbed fast. My colleague Sarah Brooks from Land Management dropped a bomb. "The records show your land was annexed 5 years ago, but there's no proof your grandpa was notified or that a public hearing happened. Those exemption letters? They're gone from the system." I wasn't shocked. Grandpa kept everything. I had his originals. Then one Tuesday, I came home to find Golden Meadows workers digging a drainage pipe across my land, cutting off my back pasture. Watershed management, Marcus claimed, while VYing a county statute. By afternoon, they'd carved a 6-foot trench. The HOA hit me with a due $5,000 in VY environmental fee and a certified letter warrant of a lien if I didn't pay in 30 days. Ed became my lifeline, bringing coffee and dirt on the HOA. "Victoria's been running it like her personal empire since she took over," he said by the spring. "Her dad wanted to bottle and sell this water, but your grandpa proved it's been Carter land since the 1880s, sacred to the tribes. Clara, Ed's wife, had secretly recorded HOA meetings. One clip had Victoria plotting to acquire the Carter eyesore and finally control that spring. Worse, I heard Mayor James Nolan's voice promising to fast-track paperwork. Then they blocked my secondary road with concrete barriers, forcing me to use my main driveway, which they watched like hawks. Using my land management know-how, I pulled Golden Meadows' original permits. The development sat on rezoned farmland with strict conditions wetlands protection, public trails, native plants. At the county office, I ran into Councilman VYD Harper, an environmentalist I'd worked with. Golden Meadows was built on protected wetlands, he said. It only got approved because of shady zoning board deals. As we talked, I saw Victoria's husband slip into the mayor's office with a thick envelope. One afternoon, my security system pinged. County vehicles and a construction truck were on my land. I called Sheriff Mike Larson while speeding home. By the time I arrived, workers were dismantling my historic gate, setting up rec center signs, and eyeing the sacred oak. Marcus, clipboard in hand, smirked. County-approved safety upgrades, he said, flashing permits listing Golden Meadows as the owner. These are fake, I growled. This is my land. He waved me off. We've got emergency authority due to your watershed violations. I planted myself in front of a bulldozer aimed at the barn. Move, or I'm calling the sheriff. Marcus shrugged. He's been notified. A worker opened the barn's electrical panel, and sparks flew. Fire, someone yelled. Flames caught the dry straw, then the timber. I grabbed a hose, but it was useless. The barn was gone. Family heirlooms, tribal artifacts, my great-grandpa's tools, all ash. Fire Chief Robert Hayes whispered, "This wasn't an accident. That panel shouldn't have sparked unless it was rigged." Victoria pulled up as the embers settled, her concern as fake as her smile. "If you'd followed our standards, this might have been avoided," she said. "We'd be happy to buy this troubled land." Rage replaced my grief. "Get off my property," I hissed. The next week was a blur of adjusters, investigators, and more HOA violations. A letter declared my land abandoned and hazardous, fast-tracking condemnation. Victoria's husband chaired the appeals board, so my complaints went nowhere. One evening, sifting through violation notices, I spotted something in the Ashisa glint of metal. It was Grandpa's fireproof lockbox, holding deeds, water rights, and a key to a bank box. At First National, I found more papers, Grandpa's notes on founding the county's land grant system, and records of Golden Meadows conditional grants, due for renewal in 30 days. A photo of Grandpa by the oak had a note. "They can burn our buildings, Nathan, but the land remembers its stewards." For 15 years, I'd processed permits in land management, never realizing the power I held. Those grants needed my department's re-VYEW. I dove into the archives, finding Golden Meadows 1998 permits. They required 20-fan tram undeveloped land, protected wetlands, and native plants, none of which they'd honored. If they couldn't prove compliance, I could sink their renewal. I called Sarah. Dig up every environmental violation on Golden Meadows. She didn't miss a beat. "This about that barn fire?" Why I didn't answer, she added, "Be careful. They've got connections." My boss, Director Laura Bennett, called me in. "The mayor's office says you've got a conflict of interest," she said. "No formal complaint yet, but document everything." Sarah's research uncovered a gold mine, filled wetlands, toxic golf course runoff, illegal home additions by HOA board members, including Victoria. Meanwhile, Golden Meadows security photographed my land for a health inspection. I fought back, planting hidden cameras in their drainage pipes. They caught Marcus and a guy named Tony Vega, their security chief, swapping surveillance cards. "Victoria wants him out before the renewal," Marcus said. Tony looked uneasy. The barn was bad enough. "If they find these cameras, we're screwed." I share my findings with the VYD Harper. "They've ignored every grant condition," he said, "especially protecting that spring for tribal ceremonies." Then I got a notice. My land was abandoned, with a condemnation hearing set just before the renewal. Ed rushed over one night. They're breaking ground on that Rex Cineron protected land. I recorded Victoria pitching it to investors like it was a done deal. Sarah called the next morning. They faked watershed issues to claim your land, she said, showing doctored flood maps. I met Heather Cole, a regional journalist, and handed over the EVY Denke. This is fraud and corruption, she said, promising a story. Retired Judge Henry Walsh, a Golden Meadows resident, EU'd my docs. This is grounds for criminal charges, he said. I'll rally residents. Natalie Reed, Marcus's wife, slipped me a USB drive. They planned that fire, she said, shaken. They destroyed my roses and a sacred oak. My daughter's Native Americanness isn't right. The drive had emails joking about a convenient fire. Tony Vega left me an envelope with emails pro-VYing the Barnes panel was sabotaged, plus a note. My nephew was at the spring ceremony. This is too far. The condemnation hearing dawned stormy. Victoria and Mayor Nolan hushed as I walked in. Sometimes letting go is healthiest, she purred. I've been studying boundaries and surveillance laws, I replied. Fascinating stuff. Her eyes flickered. At the podium, I laid it out. This isn't about safety, it's fraud to steal my land. I presented doctored maps, wetland photos, and surveillance shots. Victoria Skov, bustless. But Commissioner Rachel Evans wasn't VYing it. Are you saying this imagery and equipment are fake? She suspended the hearing and ordered a permit re-VYEW. Heather's article hit Wednesday. Development fraud. HOA accused of falsification crimes. TV crews swarmed Golden Meadows. The county froze their renewal, and Judge Walsh demanded an HOA audit. The developers, Carter Sons, pulled back, admitting they'd been misled. Sheriff Larson showed me damning VY Deo from Clara's garden camera. Victoria and Marcus disabling fire suppression before the accident. They faced charges for arson, fraud, and endangerment. Mayor Nolan got subpoenaed. At the renewal hearing, I presented my case. Destroyed wetlands, contaminated water, lost habitats. Deny their renewal until they fix this, I said. Commissioner Evans praised my work. That night, Golden Meadows residents, led by Judge Walsh and the Thompsons, brought food and a plan for a new HOA that respected rights in nature. Your grandpa was right, Clara said. We should have fought harder. 3 months later, the courthouse buzzed for the final hearing. Nolan had resigned amid bribery charges. Marcus took a plea deal, testifying against Victoria, who sat deflated, facing jail. I recommended strict renewal conditions. Wetland restoration, water protections, oversight. My land was freed from HOA control and named historic. Victoria got 3 years, 2 suspended. Carter Sons pitched a conservation easement, not a Rex Centera nod to Grandpa's VY Shown. That spring, volunteers raised a new barn on the old foundation. I took a new role as NVY Environmental Compliance Director, and the Carter Protection Act passed, safeguarding homeowners and nature. I planted an apple sapling from Grandpa's orchard and found a 1920s photo of my great-grandpa by the original barn, untouched by the fire. This land's worth fighting for, I whispered to the mountains. The fight was brutal, the loss is real, but standing by that new barn, I felt Grandpa's pride. Sometimes the quiet guy holds the cards. Sometimes one person standing firm can topple a rotten system. So what's the most outrageous HOA rule you've faced? Should Victoria have gotten more jail time, or was justice served? Could you forgive neighbors who stood by while your legacy burned? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.